Hello, Awakening Souls. I'm Dawn Elgin, your Contrarian Soul Guide, and today I want to talk about what happens after the shift. We live in a culture obsessed with breakthroughs, but we rarely talk about what it means to live with them. Healing isn't complete. Healing isn't complete when it feels good. It's complete when you start making different choices consistently. That's integration, and that's what we're exploring today. If you're new here, welcome to Practical Spiritualism and Sovereignty Rising, the YouTube edition. This is the space where we learn to ditch the fear and embrace the flame. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been and actually living like it. So let's jump in. Now, integration isn't really sexy, but it is sacred. Integration doesn't usually feel euphoric. It actually often feels boring, slow, confusing. Like you're standing in between who you were and who you're becoming. I always see it as coming through a door and entering into a new room. It takes a moment to orient yourself in the space, take in the details. And even after you've been in this room a while, you still continue to notice new things. If someone were to come with you into the room to join you, you'd need to adjust to new seating, to new ways of being you. And some examples of what integration might look like are saying no without justifying it. No is a complete sentence. I cannot say that enough. It might be not texting someone back right away, but giving yourself a bit of space. It might mean leaving the dishes or chores and just choosing to take a little bit of time to breathe. And it might be crying and not trying to label it, but actually just allowing for a release. Integration is where your soul and your nervous system finally shake hands. It's where you stop performing and start living. So 3 signs that you're in the integration phase. So 1, you feel disoriented, but not wrong. You're not really spiraling, you're adjusting. And this is important because it can feel like there's a bit of a tug of war happening inside of us. Like, this is what I've always done before, but it doesn't feel right anymore. And you feel pulled to do this, but it's a bit more of an unknown. And so there can be this disorienting feeling that comes with it. 2, old habits rise, but you pause instead of reacting. And that pause is gold. So often when I'm working with people and we're going through a tough time or moving into this integration, I will ask clients to really use what I refer to as the sacred pause. So when something happens, rather than going to our habitual reactions, we take the pause and we do it by doing it every single time. And so for me, I tend to look slightly up and to the left and I think about it for a moment. I'm like, oh, and I take one full deep breath and center myself before I respond. And if you think about it, the habits and the patterns are reactions. So you're reacting to what somebody else is doing. You're not coming from center. You are being pushed and pulled by the outer world. Whereas responding is responsible. It's responsible to yourself. And rather than perpetuating pain, when we take the breath and we respond, we start perpetuating health, vitality, love, kindness, compassion. So we start being this person who we've chosen to be. Now, 3, you crave slowness, softness, and space. This can be difficult. That's your nervous system asking for a little bit of time to catch up. And so all of a sudden it might feel like you're more sensory sensitive. It might feel overwhelming or dysregulating to be in a fast environment or have jarring music or feel crowded in. And so you might just simply need a bit of a slower pace. And that's just your nervous system asking for the time to catch up. You need to understand that you're not stuck, you're stabilizing. And this is a really good thing. And don't worry, this can feel scary at first, but we regain and even strengthen our resiliency once we find our new homeostasis, this balance point. Yes, you'll be able to go back into the chaotic world again. You may notice, however, that rather than filling you, it maybe drains you or at least doesn't give you anything. And you find that rather than groups, you prefer a small handful of people or just one on one, more intimate setting. Unfortunately, small talk or meaningless topical conversations can get much more difficult. This is one of the reasons that more intimate conversations can often be preferred after we start moving through these processes. So, the practice that we can use to help us here is doing some alignment work. So, let's do it together. So, come into a comfortable position and just find some stillness. And ask yourself, where in my life have I been making aligned choices? So we want to start from the positive. Where in my life have I been making aligned choices? And then ask, where am I still choosing based on fear or familiarity? And don't judge yourself. We are driven by safety and survival. Just notice. Awareness is the key to expansion. And then just breathe. No fixing, just notice. Let the noticing be enough. You don't need to rush your embodiment. So instead of chasing, we don't need another breakthrough. We often need to live the one that we've already had. So I'm going to share a story with you about my own experience recently as I shifted into this phase of the Contrarian Soul guide. So recently, just in February, I had been asking for a lot of clarity. I had been feeling really anxious for several months and couldn't actually understand why. I was listening to a book, The Way of Integrity by Martha Back, and I had just finished it and yet felt compelled to listen again. And one day I was walking my dog on this trail near our home and I was listening to the book when I felt this tapping on my shoulder. Now, this has been going on for years. Every time I ask for guidance, if I don't seem to be getting it, I will feel this strong tapping, like somebody's physically tapping on my shoulder. And now I understand that that means pay attention from one of my guides to whatever it is that I'm listening to or watching. So I backed up the book a bit and listened again. I actually listened to it several more times trying to understand. And in the book, Martha was talking about contrarian soul guides, and nowadays we would call them spiritual coaches. She was saying how they would push and prod people so that rather than just following along, they would think, they would check in with themselves. And as this slowly but surely started to seep in, I realized, I think this is me. I have this tendency to push and poke and prod people into their discomfort purposely to antagonize growth. And I do it in my personal life, I do it in my professional life. It is absolutely part of who I am. And as the meaning of this started to sink in, I started getting really uncomfortable. Now, the reason for this is I've been actually certified as a spiritual director for over 5 years, but I never really tell anybody. And I often would change the labeling as I tried to figure out, like, what kind of a coach am I? How do I help people understand this? And, I'd be a sovereignty coach or conscious empowerment coach or an identity crisis coach. All of them kind of come into the same place. But what I wasn't saying and I was scared to step forward with is this language of being a spiritual coach, of being a soul guide. And that little voice in my head, my neurotic little inner roommate, would be like, who do you think you are? Who are you to be a soul guide? And I realized as I was moving through this that it was time for me to step up and say, I am. I am me. I have every right to own this space and take my breath, just like you have every right to own your space and take your breath. So even though I could feel that this was my truth, I was scared. I felt vulnerable. Suddenly, I would be showing up in this world as my most authentic self, but also unarmored. But as soon as I accepted it, all of the anxiousness just went away immediately. Ideas started to flow. I felt this push to start my podcast, to finish my book. My body and mind started to totally settle. And it has taken months to adjust to this shift, to absorb, to integrate this remembering. But it's vital. It's vital for us to take this time, not to get into that old pattern, that old habit of hustling, but to simply be, absorb, and trust from a grounded, centered space. Every single time you act from truth, even when it's scary, you're building a new nervous system pathway. It's powerful. Your job now, trust what you already know and keep choosing it again and again and again, no matter what comes up, what fears or what people say. Be truthful to yourself. If you joined the unlearning, this is your next chapter. And if you didn't, this message still applies. You don't need more healing. You need more integration. So let it be gentle, let it be consistent, and let it be yours. Subscribe for more grounded, soul-rooted truth. And comment what's one sign that your integration season is right now. See the light in you. And it is absolutely brilliant. And I am so excited for you to see it too. I'll see you on the next video.